So this is the Cornish Waterwheel. It was part of the gold mining situation. They used the water wheel to haul water, both to drain the water out of the mines, and it's the workhorse of the area. We're right in front of the old Hudson's Bay building, which was a trading post. Quesnel is actually known as a supply center rather than specifically for gold mining. So they sold the gold pans and whatever necessary equipment, picks and shovels and so forth. Also, as things developed, people came out to buy land and to ranch the country.
Hi everyone, welcome to my Shoreline Studio. I'm Sybille Muschik. Behind the camera is Joshua Blanc. Today we're talking about the water wheel that's in Quesnel, and it was positioned there in 1930. It commemorates the pioneers of the area, the people who went to the gold rush in the 1860s, and of course Billy Barker, who in 1862 struck it rich in his 40 feet below ground or something, and he had about, I don't know how much gold, I think a lot of gold. And well, he ended up, pretty well broke in the end. That's what happened to a lot of the miners. But in the meantime, Quesnel was busy supplying the miners, and it became a stop where, you bought your water, your equipment, and of course probably the timbers and so forth for, creating the water wheels that helped sluice the ore and, when they got into big productions and things. So here's pictures of the water wheel. If you're a tourist in Quesnel, there's monuments, that tell you all about what the water wheel's all about. And we did a nighttime photo shoot walking all over Quesnel, and so these are some of the images. We'll be working more with that in the future. And our water wheel is very interesting as a graphic image, so of course it works really well if you transfer it to one of these styrofoam plates. And I've done the drawing and I've done the tracing off as I did in the last snippet, and I've mounted it on board, as you can see, and hopefully with washing and so forth my board hasn't warped. That doesn't help. So, and that's the smooth side. We talked about that in previous videos of that. You should use the smooth side. Now if you don't use the smooth side, you have something like this. I've mounted this also, and I don't know, in a moment of distraction or whatever, I put it on the wrong side, and so it works, but it's much more difficult to work with in terms of printmaking. So remember, if you're using the Presto Foam, to use, the shiny side. So we're going to play around with this a little bit, see what we can come up with. We'll do a regular print, and let's try and get that nice glow, using maybe a, what do you call that now, bokeh, a graded tone from light to dark. So we'll take a quick break and I'll get all my stuff together here. So we're going to be doing a base tone first, but it has to be in the Amsterdam acrylics. The reason for that is that the printmaking inks, the Speedball Printmaking inks, are water-based. If we put a liquid surface on top of the base, it might smear, so we're just hedging our bets by using a start with the acrylic paint. So we're going to just roll that out on one end here. We just want a nice even layer. We'll try and replicate the dusk scene. This is almost like a rainbow roll. Going from a yellow, orange to a violet color. Sort of tone it with one and the other. Nice graded tone. And we'll print that, just cardstock. Now, you want a really beautiful base layer here. Pretty good. Yeah. Little funny stuff happening down there, but the thing with gel plate printing is you're never going to have really nice edges, and you know, crop as you go. Now we're just going to change our plates here, because now we have to go and get rid of all the acrylic paint, because you don't want to be mixing them together, and change rollers. And so now you have to make the decision as to what color the water wheel is going to be, and you are going to get the tone of, if you do a straight run, you're going to get the tone of the water wheel with that light coming through. So that's what we want. So that'll be our first attempt. So here is our plate. It's mounted on wood, and I just used some medium. Here are my Novo matte medium. Now our best bet probably is maybe something dark. Make sure, see, that's a Speedball. That's exactly what we want. And this was violet. And we'll add some of the red to it. We could add black, but it just might get a bit mucky, and these two are closer to what we're trying to say with that nice evening glow that we found. All right, so we'll, nice fresh roller, we'll just mix those two together. Now we're going to do a straight print. And here's that sound. That's too much ink. It's got the louder hissing sound. You can tell when it's just right. It's just a tiny snick. The printmaker's snick. And then just roll it on. We don't have to be concerned about, you know, grading the tone or anything like that at this point. We've already done it on our base sheet, and the water wheel will show up with that one area lit up. So just make sure you've inked it well. And of course, being mounted on a plate, you don't have to worry anything about, you know, fingerprints, and make sure you've washed it and cleaned it really well. This is the Presto Foam that we're using. So here we go. And this is an 8x10 plate. And you're going to have to really push down and make sure all the surfaces are touching. We'll see what kind of an impression it made. It looks pretty good. Hopefully it's dark enough. At this point you can decide, well, is it good enough to print on that? Because that's quite dark. And I'm thinking we might have to go to the black after all. What we can do is take a different, just take some light bond paper, get an impression to see how dark it is. Sort of hedge your bets so that you know that it's better to do all this preliminary work rather than wrecking, you know, your good work. So we'll see. I think it's nice, but it's not quite dark enough. I'm getting some weird spots. And I'm not sure what that's from. I might just wash the plate once more and then we'll re-ink using that, but with just a little bit of black in it. But you can see that these white areas, that will be what's picking up the color of the background sheet. So it should be really nice. Okay, take a quick break and then we'll clean this off.
So this is the old Royal Bank building, and it's circa 1928 that it was built. So it's a nice part, it's beautiful, still holding up well. It's a great place.
So I'm just adding some black and a little bit, this is a block printing ink medium. Of course it's water soluble as the others are. And it just makes the paint just work a little bit better. And I look at it and see about consistency. Should be pretty good. And rolling it out. I think this is going to work better. Now we had some funny little spots on there. I've degreased it again. I don't know where the grease would be coming from, but you never know. Now obviously if you did this as a wood cut or a lino block cut, you'd have really sharp lines and it would be very graphic and so forth. But this is a faster way of working because it's a little bit more spontaneous and experimental. You're going to get some strange things happening sometimes that could be very interesting. So certainly worth trying. And no, like I said, we need that 400-pound weight of some kind. The ink is pretty good actually. It's quite tacky and it will stick. It's the plate that's a problem. And sometimes the wood, if it has a little bow in it, then it's not going to make contact. That's why I'm pushing from above. So we'll have a check. Yeah, we're still getting these strange marks, but that sort of gives it an interesting, you know, ambience, if you like. So let's go to our, and I think it's this way, yeah. We want the water wheel to be highlighted. And I'm just going to line it up. You don't have to worry about the ink drying. It stays in good shape. It doesn't really dry until you put it on paper. Yes. And there we are. Now these little spots and things, I think that just adds interest. I will try degreasing the plate once more. We're going to try an intaglio. everything looks really good, and you get that glow that we wanted. That, I mean, obviously you're not going to reproduce a photograph, but you could get a feeling for it. So, all right. So another little break. So I'm not sure it's our last trick, but let's hope this one works. So we're going to try it the intaglio way. There's one more thing we can do after this, and if we have time, we'll do it. Now, all I'm going to do is scrape the ink into the grooves, sort of like an etching. That's why they call it intaglio. You can scrape the paint off pretty well because remember, this is a smooth Presto Foam. We're just going to be printing it on a sheet of orange paper. And if all goes well, our lines will be dark and the background will be light. Scrape off as much of the paint as you can off the background. But you do want some kind of a tone there. So ink all your lines. And you could probably run ghost prints off this as well. And I just want to add that this is a monoprint, not a monotype. Monotype is one of a kind and you can't repeat anything, but this has a repeatable surface, so we could run this several times. But it's always going to be a unique print because you're never going to ink it exactly the same way, and that's why it's a monoprint. Try and make it as even as you can. Scrape as much as you can. There we go. Line it up. And we'll see if those funny spots show up. I think it's something on the plate. I've worked with this plate for a bit. It's not going to last forever. It's not like a woodcut. We have to. You just want to get a really good impression. Yeah, we're still getting the funny stuff, but it just looks like an antique kind of thing, right? You could do this in sepia tones as well, and then it would look like an old photograph that maybe has some burn marks or something on it. Anyway, it's kind of an exciting process, I find. You know, if you get something really fantastic, then definitely worth showing. Okay, there we go. That turned out pretty good. We're just going to crop off the edges. And our lines are dark for the most part. See, if you crosshatch, then it becomes a shadow, which is nice. And in here with the bench, it looks pretty good. Just ignore the messy stuff. That gets cropped off. So we did well. Okay. I think it's not worth getting a ghost print of. But there is one more thing I can show you. And we'll do that. I think we have time, and we're just going to run through quick here. We're just going to leave the print as is, but we're going to put some tone on the plate itself. We're going to run a background layer. You can't do black, so you're going to have to do a lighter color. Let's just do the red directly on the plate. We'll add some of the medium. I might even add some white. And just mix that on the plate a little bit. A little bit of yellow, that'll do it. Just roll it in a circle and it's sort of blobby. And we're getting kind of a mottled background look. Now we're going to run just to smooth out the ink on here. The ink probably won't print. What you want are just the impressions of the lines. Just line it up. Of course, if you had a relief press, that would work really well. Then you put the paper directly on the plate and run it through. But you would have to sand down the edges and bevel it so it can go through the press. So you would probably use a different, you wouldn't use wood, you'd use a plexi plate that's been properly prepared. You don't want to be wrecking etching plates or print presses. Okay, let's see what happens here. Ooh. I guess we'll do white. So just finishing with the running of the plate, and we'll see what transpires. Well, it is kind of fascinating. Again, we can crop right to there. And we have all our lines. So that's pretty fascinating. So you can play with this idea some more. Of course, you can use different backgrounds. You know, maybe you can redraw your plate, of course. I think my plate's deteriorating because I've you know, we'll be showing at the end how many other ones we have. There's a stack of them. We won't put them all out, but you'll get the idea. So try this. Lots of fun. Like I said, any of these foams will work. Even your meat trays, you'll probably have to work a little smaller unless you get one of those huge family pack ones. So again, thanks so much for watching. We really appreciate all our subscribers and all the people who comment. Do show us your work when you can. We'd love to see it. And we'll catch you again here at Playtime in Shoreline Studio. Bye for now.